Hello everyone and welcome to Twitch Tales, episode 4 of the Cartografur campaign. Where did we leave off in episode 3? Well, let's find out. Menaki, Maya, sorry to have left you on a bit of a cliffhanger with that last letter. I just want to write another one quickly to tell you I'm fine. The bush did attack me, but I survived it. So to recap, I arrived at Drennsaal, met a guy called Simon. He was a lovely guy, showed me to the guild hall. When I got there, I met with my contact Randy. He gave me the quest that I've been given to map a swamp to the north called the Drennsaal swamp. It hasn't really been charted much, but they've sent a couple of cartographers in the past and surveyors, and they've discovered that it's a pretty dangerous place. The last guy they sent, Jason, he never actually came back. So they've sent me, and hopefully I can help myself and protect myself from whatever dangers might arise. Apparently there's rats and all sorts of bugs and leeches and things there. When I arrived at the Drennsaal, it was muddy and difficult to traverse for a while, but the main danger came when I went down a banking and it was a little too deep water for me to continue, so I turned back, only to find that some sort of shambling mound of vegetation had blocked my path and was starting to approach me. It whipped out at me with tendrils crackling with electricity, seemingly some sort of magic keeping it together. Thankfully I was able to evade it and whip its tendrils back on itself, but when I did so I noticed that whatever damage I'd done to it with the whip seemed to be healed by the electricity. Clearly I needed a different tactic. I tried running from it, but through the undergrowth and the swampy terrain, it was difficult for me to get away. So I turned and fought. Thankfully, I can handle myself in a fight, even if my opponent is rotting vegetation matter. Must say I've never had to fight one of these before. I started clawing and scratching and punching as best I could as it tried to grapple me and pull me into itself. At one point it managed, and I was taking all sorts of electrical damage to my body. But I pulled out of its body and I managed to open its core and find that at the heart of it was this solid chunk of gnarled wood. Focusing my attacks on that, it wasn't long before I was able to incapacitate this thing, tear it apart from this mound of refuse. I've kept the heart of wood, just in case I want to whittle something out of it as a memento of my time. And after the fight was over, with barely time to catch my breath, I heard the sound of somebody talking nearby, whispering, trying not to be heard. The people here are not used to our kind, and so I don't think they realized how good my hearing is. Eventually I called out to them and persuaded them to come out of hiding. Turned out that they were elves. Elves that live here in the swamp in a village nearby called Cartografur. They were very reluctant to show me the village, though. They thought I was a bugbear. I've been mistaken for a bugbear a couple of times now. They were friendly enough, keeping their distance and obviously some hesitation, but I think I managed to convince them that I meant them no harm. They told me that in this swamp, one of the reasons that it's so dangerous at the moment is that several months ago there used to be a red dragon that would come down to this forest. They called it the Hunter. The red dragon would hunt the larger creatures like the ogres, but since it stopped arriving several months ago, either it moved on to another hunting ground, or it died, or got bored of this swamp. For whatever reason, since it stopped arriving, the ogres have started to take back over. They've started to get a little more brash and brazen and decided to reassert their right to rule at the top of the pecking order. Apparently that's displaced a bunch of goblins, and the goblin clans are now in turn running around trying to find their place. It's a bit of a mess and a very dangerous place to be. I'm starting to wonder if it's more of a job than one cartographer can possibly handle. Anyway, I'll keep doing my job for now, and maybe I'll head back to Port's End if it gets too much. Bye for now. And that's what we're picking up today. You have found yourself in the Drennsaal swamp. You have discovered that it is much more dangerous than anybody had prepared for, and perhaps there's more danger money involved in this task being more dangerous than you'd anticipated. So what do you guys want to do as a collective? While we're writing our letter, do we take a short rest? No, but you can now if you wish. Your quest log, as it ended at the end of last session, was map the Drennsaal swamp, find out what happened to Jason, and maybe who, what, or where is the hunter. You do not need to tick all of these. It's not a video game. You don't lose the game if you don't do all of those things. Assuming we don't hear anything bad at the moment, take a short rest. All right. Oh yes, you get your hero point back. Thank you for the reminder. It is the start of a new session. New hero point. It's around noon time-wise. Yes, it's about noon time-wise, give or take. A little bit after noon, perhaps. Short rest in a tree. We can do that. Yes. All right. So I'll go over to your. Dice cam, and I'll use your predatory patience. If you can see under your species features, being an herbivora, a bearfolk, you get predatory patience, which is a feature I gave you that is a homebrewed thing. Basically, you can take your entire turn, action, bonus action, and movement to do nothing. You just stand there like a predator, just waiting in an ambush. You turn on all your senses. You're really focusing in on your hearing and your sight and your smell, like a bear waiting for a salmon in a stream, for instance. So let's head over to the dice cam and use that predatory patience. It gives you advantage and temporary proficiency in perception. So with advantage, that is a 12. And then with your proficiency and wisdom, that is a 6, so 18 total. With a moment to just focus and listen to the crackling of twigs and the chirping of cicadas and the gentle burbling of swamp and gently moving water, the croaking of toads and frogs nearby. You manage to convince yourself in this moment that there is little enough danger that you can afford to take the time to have a rest here. You make sure to not rest underneath or anywhere close to the sapping vines that were pointed out to you as sort of vampiric curled up coiled vines that can quickly drop onto you and latch themselves on, almost leech-like. You manage to stay away from those ones, and you set up a place to catch your breath. I think as a bearfolk, I think somebody mentioned climbing a tree. That seems like an appropriate thing to do so that you're not getting any bugs and rats and leeches and things coming at you from the ground. So I think you find a tree nearby and you give it a climb. Because you are proficient in athletics, you only have a -1 strength, but you are proficient in athletics, which cancels that out a little bit. I'm not going to make you roll for it. You can always take 20, essentially. Having said that, there is a detriment to failing. If you do get a nat 1, you might fall and hurt yourself. So I will actually make you roll for it. Dice cam, athletics check, 9. 9 plus 2, you're fine. It was basically just checking to see if it was a nat 1. With an 11, you managed to climb up a tree easily enough and sort of tuck yourself into the crook of like a fork of 2 branches. And you just kind of think for a moment. You can, if you want, do a little sketching, like in your downtime, do a little sketching, or you can start to whittle that wooden heart into something if you want. But either way, you can have a short rest. With a short rest, you can how my short rests work in my game is that you choose at the start of the short rest how long you want the rest to be. It has to be a multiple of 30 minutes, essentially. And if you have just one half-hour rest, then you can roll 1 hit die, and you regain that many hit points. If you have 2 half-hour rests back to back, so a 1 hour rest, it counts as just 1 short rest, but you could roll 2 hit die. If you do an hour and a half to sit down and do nothing, you can roll 3 hit die, and so on. You have 6 hit point dice, and each one is a d8, and you get to roll that plus your con. Your con is 0, so you just recover 1d8 hit points for each hit die rolled. Should we record a podcast? Yeah, we should record a 2-hour conversation series with somebody in the tree. Should sketch something. We should whittle when we're not on the job, and let's sketch for now. Focus on finishing the mapping job, do a little whittling, sketch the thing that just ambushed us. That could be cool. Do we regain Lucky Clover and or focus points? You'll find out when you finish the rest. Don't we get double because of the periapt? Yes, is that something that we had? We had a periapt of wound closure, was it? Is that how it works? Magic items. What did we end up taking? Periapt of wound closure, right? Periapt of wound closure. Whenever you make a death saving throw, you can change the roll of 9 or lower to a 10, turning a fail into a success. And whenever you roll a hit point dice to regain hit points, you double the number of hit points it restores. So yes, you would spend 1 hit dice and double that. So you would still roll 1d8 and then you double the dice. I think as well, maybe, do I want to? No, we'll see. I'll introduce that if I feel like it's needed later. So how long are we resting? How many hit dice are we rolling, essentially? Yeah, the elves didn't tell you to leave the forest. They just told you this place should be marked as dangerous. You got the impression from them, especially with your proficiency in insight and a decent wisdom, you got the impression from them that they were not really on board with you mapping this out to use to like take back to your human kingdoms and be like, hey, look, you can come and colonize this swamp. They were not going to help or assist you in your work that may end up screwing them out of their place to live, sort of thing. They were just like, you're not allowed to come back with us. And when you asked, is there anywhere particular that I should mark as dangerous, they were like, yeah, the entire swamp. They were giving you the sort of not even veiled meaning of you should probably leave. All right. Well, we will go for we can roll one at a time and just like decide at the end of that half hour whether you want to stay in the tree for another half hour, essentially. All right. So we will go to the dice cam. You will roll your hit die, which we'll use as this one here. 7, nice, good roll. So after the first half hour, you regain 14 hit points. 14 onto 27 is 41. You're back up to 41 of 47. Is that correct? 27 onto 41. After half an hour of sitting down in the tree, you're feeling like you've recovered a lot of it. 27 was not less than 47, so you hadn't actually taken any significant wounds. So you didn't need to bandage yourself up. It was more about just recovering stamina and catching your breath. Do we feel like that is enough? Put a thumbs up or a thumbs down in the chat. If you are following the channel and this is your first time playing, then you just need to follow the channel in order to get access to the yes and no gauntlet emotes. It's a nice visual, easy, quick, color-coded way of me telling whether that's enough. All right, quite clearly we have a majority saying yes, that is enough. So we are going to leave it there. We're going to spend just half an hour in the tree. You give it a little stretch. What were we doing while we were in the tree? I think most people were saying sketching, yes. So let's roll a check just to see how well your sketching goes. So this is going to be a dexterity check. What are you proficient with? A cartographer's tools, so quill and ink you are proficient with. You've got a pencil as well. You've got plenty of parchment. So I think I'll apply your cartographer's tools here, even though it's more about art than it is about sketching the actual mapping. I think this is more just a hobbyish stuff. So you are going to get your cartographer's tools while you are resting. this is going to be a dexterity based thing, so you have a bonus of +4 from that. And then Cartographer's Tools gives you the +3 proficiency. So 7, 6. 6 plus 7 is a 13. Below average for you and your quality of art, but above average for most people. You're doing an okay job, but you're self-critical of it. Like, you don't really have like an easel to push against. You're pushing against your hand or some board from your. You've got that board that opens out from your from your bag. You're not doing a great job, but you're doing a decent enough sketch of what it looks like, and you're referencing the heart of wood from this creature that you've slain, putting it back in the bag, referencing it, that sort of thing. After about half an hour, you feel rested enough to continue. Bling! Your focus points come back. You'll notice your lucky clover does not, because those reset at dawn. You'll also notice that your uncanny metabolism does not come back. That is a once per day thing as well. You'll also notice that your hit dice didn't come back. Those are all once per dawn things. Once per long rest, or once per dawn. Pretty much the same thing for a diurnal creature. Sketch of the Shambling Mound looks like a Shambling Mound. Pretty much. We were just in a fight with an electric monster. Any slight tremor to our hands can be attributed to the shocks. Yeah, that's probably what's happening in Sparrow. Good headcanon. You find that there's like a little bit of a remnant twitch that goes away after about half an hour. But yeah, it gives you a bit of a difficulty in your sketching. Okay, what's your intent? You've been told that this swamp is particularly dangerous, and it's even more so in the last few months. You still don't know where Jason is or what happened to him. This might be a pretty massive task for you guys to do on your own. Do you still want to persevere and push through and try and get as much mapped as you can, or do you want to head back to Port's End and tell them, hey, this is a bigger job than we thought? Did Randy tell us what we are mapping for? Like, are we looking to map in terms of a road or flora, fauna? I don't recall if he told you this in game, so let me see if he would have. If he would have, and I can sort of retcon and tell you that he would have told you this information. He told you it was definitely a commission from the king, and the king had some sort of interest in mapping the Drennsaal. I don't know that he told you any information about why the king wanted to map the Drennsaal. No, he definitely wouldn't have told you that stuff because he didn't know it. I think he's just kind of like, hey, we're a map guild. Well, we're a guild that works with maps as part of the guild. We're a guild that works with mapping, and the king has just commissioned us to map a particular area, so who am I to argue or ask questions? Ours is not to reason why. Should we be mapping elevations, and if wagons can get through? Probably. You'd imagine that if the king wants... let me make you an insight check on the king's reasoning for mapping. You have worked in a map guild for a while. You did come from a country that's not a monarchy. So I'm going to give you disadvantage on this. You've never met the king. You don't know anything about the king. I'm going to give you disadvantage on this. But I'm going to give you insight, which is a +6. Disadvantage, nat 1. Appropriate. Appropriate with a nat 1 +6, you get a 7, and you don't know what the king's reasoning for why he wants the map to be. You just think, well, if he wants it to like send wagons through here, then I guess I should map for that stuff. If he wants to just basic topography, then maybe I need to be doing undulations of the land. Who knows? Who knows what he wants? He just wants a map. Continue mapping while keeping an eye out for evidence of Jason or maybe the Red Dragon. We know maps, we don't know kings. Yeah. Okay. So you start to climb back down the tree. You place all of your belongings back in your wet bag and close that up in case you fall into a swamp. Most people say, let's continue then. Continue mapping. So you continue mapping the direction you were headed before. There's bugs around. You're making sure to shake them off. Thankfully, you've got shaggy fur as an herbivora that's keeping many of the biting insects from being able to land and get to your skin. And you're trying to avoid stepping into water because now you know there are leeches there. Keeping an eye out above you for the sapping vines and below you for any moving shambling mounds, you continue on into the forest. I'm going to roll on the dangers of the Drennsaal table, and we're going to see if you encounter anything on this one. All right. Okay, on this journey, actually, let me first roll a percentage chance that you are going to encounter something. Okay, yeah, and then what are you going to encounter? That's going to be one of these ones. Okay. Uh-oh. Encounter doesn't necessarily mean combat. I'm just letting you know. Encounters are things. It could just be the swamp elves of the forest, for instance. A friendly squirrel. Where am I looking? What am I looking for? That's the wrong thing, that's why. I need this one. I'm hoping the Shambling Mound wasn't the elves' pet. Would have been trouble if it had been. You would have been in trouble if it had been, yes. No, the elves are just like, yeah, those sorts of things happen around here. Damn it, I misspelled it. There we go. So, as you are heading forwards, doing your mapping, doing your best you can to take note of things, taking down information on stuff, I will give you a cartography check to see how well you're mapping first. This is going to be your, it's going to be an intelligence-based thing because it's about your logic and reasoning of distances. You're measuring stuff. You're doing very calculated things that seems like more than just your general awareness and perception of wisdom. Yeah, I think intelligence makes the most sense here. So it's going to be intelligence, but you do get to add your proficiency from Cartographer's tools. So this is going to be a +4. That is a 7 + 4. 11. Again, average for a normal person, below average for you. You're doing the best job you can, but given the circumstances, it's very distracting to have to try and measure something and then find yourself just like slowly sliding down or like tilting into the mud as your foot sinks into essentially like a quicksand bog, and you have to pull that foot back out again. What was the measurement again? I was on a 16. It was 16 feet, and then there was god damn, get off me! It's bugs everywhere, and it's distracting, but it wasn't a net one. You're doing okay. However, the bugs are getting a little bit too irritating, and not only that, they're getting larger. The blue bottles and flies you can see are like size of ping pong balls. And then a dragonfly flies past that looks almost like it's got actual dragon scales on it. It's about the size of a rat and flies off to catch something. Seems to be like dive bombing after the big bugs and stuff. And then you hear a buzzing coming. A very large buzzing, a very loud buzzing, and it seems like a swarm of something is approaching from ahead. What do you want to do? It's just Mel. Yeah, it's just Mel is approaching. You hear, "What are you doing in this swamp?" You don't. That's a joke. Can we avoid them? Hide? Dodge? Ready? Hide? Hide and observe? Alright, so most people saying hide. I just wanted to give you the choice of like, do you just turn around and go away from whatever this buzzing is, or do you want to hide and see what it is? So you hide. Let's roll a stealth check. You are proficient in stealth, as you can see on the proficiencies, which means you'll have a +7 to this roll. 10 + 7, 17. 17 is good. Let me roll for the thing. So With a -1 perception, these things can only beat a 17 if they roll a 19 or a 20. And I rolled a 19. So you are hiding pretty well with a 17. But with a 19 -1, they get an 18. And as these things fly close enough to be able to see you, you can also see them. What you're seeing is something about the size of a house cat, only it is the shape of a mosquito. It has a large proboscis stinger out the front of its face, and there seems to be about half a dozen of them. You are from a jungle forest back in Ralatea, so I am pretty sure you will have come across stirges before. I'm going to roll, and unless it's a nat 1, you're going to have heard of these things and maybe even encountered them. 6, yes. 6 plus your history being from a jungle. You know that these things are stirges, or a variety of stirge that is from this particular area. What you know about stirges then, for the people who are playing that do not know stirges, they're giant mosquitoes essentially, and the description is, a single stirge is usually a little more than an annoyance, but several can be deadly if they attach faster than you can remove them. How they attack is that they'll stab their proboscis into you and drink your blood, and then they are attached to you while they're drinking your blood, and then they only disengage from you and fly away after they've drank a certain number of hit points worth of blood. And you would have to try and hit them and kill them and stuff. Individually, you can kill one with a single punch. As a monk, you can kill them. They are pretty brittle. They're easy to hit with a low AC and a low hit points. But you do know that, like, if there are only 6 of them, you could be fine against them. If there are 6 of them and more start to arrive round by round, you could get overwhelmed with them. So, given that option, you are trying to hide behind some trees or up some trees. You're like halfway up some trees when they start to fly towards you. I'm going to have you roll initiative. This does not necessarily mean combat. It just means we're turn-based, because it's about how fast they can get to you and how fast you can escape or beat the shit out of them. All right. So, we're going to roll initiative. And what's more is, I forgot to bring it up in before I started, but we're going to go over to the battle screen because I have a swamp map for us. 165 movement speed sounds about great right now. Yeah. I will tell you that with no real desire lines through this swampy forest and with muddy, swampy terrain, pretty much every space is difficult terrain for you. They are flying, so they are not hampered by difficult terrain, but you are. So instead of your 55 movement speed regular, you will have, and basically we can consider you as having about 30 feet movement over difficult terrain. Flurry of Blows gives us disengage and an extra 10 feet movement. We could punch a couple and then dash. You could punch a couple and then run, not necessarily dash. That's not the dash action. I'm not necessarily going to use this map as like an actual like map of the of what's around you. I'm just going to use it as kind of background for the thing. Here we are. Okay, so let's chuck some stirges into initiative. I might split them into 3 groups of 2. With the dice cam, you have an 8 on initiative plus your initiative modifier of 4, so that is a 12 in initiative. The enemy, the first 2 of them have, what are the dexterities? The first 2 get a 14. The next 2 get a 17. And the next 2 get a 16. Jesus. Okay. Unfortunately, with a bad roll on initiative, you're going last after 6. After 6 of these bugs seem to see you, when you're trying to hide, you know what they are. You know that they're a bit of a problem, but you think you're pretty well hidden. And then they get too close, and you start to there's just a moment of hesitation for you of like, if I run now, they'll come after me. But if I don't run, maybe I'm still hidden from them. And you hesitate for just too long for them to actually start by getting at you or on you. All right. Can we look at your hero point in the initiative? You can if you want, but I will tell you, against 6 stirges, not so much of an issue. Don't worry about that. You still have your reaction. If something attacks you, you can reduce the damage, and if you reduce all of the damage, you can redirect that damage onto another enemy. So the first 2 fly down at you, and they're both going to make proboscis attacks to try and hit you. The first one is a 17. 17 is exactly what they need. So you see it coming. It starts to try and attack you. Do you want to use your reaction to try and deflect the damage that they're going to do to you? It is going to try and pierce into your skin for... people saying yes, use the deflect, yes, use your reaction, no, yes, no. All right, most people saying yes, a couple of no's, but most people saying yes. It is going to do 4 points of piercing damage, and the stirge will attach to your body. So as it goes to pierce you, your monk-like reflexes grab it by the proboscis and just kind of throw it to the side. Obviously, with you reducing the damage down to, I think you can reduce it by a d10 plus your monk level or something, right? Wasn't it? So obviously you're going to reduce that down to 0 from a 4. So once you have reduced damage down to 0, you can then, if you want to, use one of your focus points to redirect that attack onto somebody else. You can make it attack its friend, like you can use its, you can like stab its friend with its proboscis if you want to. Do we want to do that? It'll cost you 1 focus point. Okay, so as the first one gets close, you think, God, damn stirges! You grab the first one and just use it to stab at its friend. Its friend needs to make a dexterity saving throw from memory. That is a 15. 15 would be enough, I think, but your DC is 16 because of your dragon scale belt thing. So you grab one proboscis, stab it into the other one. It is going to take damage. I need to remind myself how the damage of this works. I think I need to bring up your character sheet on D&D Beyond so I can look at the details. We're using 2024 rules, and I'm not 100% on them yet. But I'm getting there. We'll work that out soon enough. Noodle, view. How many focus points do we have at this level? You can see them below me here on the screen. There are 6 focus points. All right, features, actions, reactions, deflect, attack. If you reduce the damage, it's a d10 plus 10 that you reduce it by, because it's your dexterity and your class level. Jeez Louise. So you reduce it by, when you use your reaction to reduce damage, you're reducing anywhere from 11 to 20 damage from it. So it only did 4, so you reduce that by minimum of 11. If you reduce it damage to 0 by deflect attacks, you can expend 1 focus point, which we'll do now. Bloop. To redirect some of the attack. If you do so, choose a creature you can see within 5 feet of yourself if the attacker was a melee attack, or a creature you can see within 60 feet of yourself if it blah blah blah. Must succeed in a dexterity saving throw, which is a... I said I rolled already, wasn't it? It was 15. Or take damage equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die plus your dexterity modifier. Holy moly. So your dexterity mod is a 4. 2 rolls of your martial arts die will be at a minimum of 6. That will be enough to kill the thing. So you use the reaction of the first to kill the second. The second, therefore, does not get to make its attack on you. So we move to the next round. So we move into enemy 2. Enemy 2 is 2 more of the proboscises come at you. Probosci come at you. You've used your reaction now, so you cannot do that again. The third creature hits or tries to hit you with a 16 and misses. The fourth one, nat 20. Nat 20 on the fourth. So as you are distracted trying to kill them all with each other, 2 of them fling around from behind. One of them stabs you, stabs its proboscis somewhere into your, let's say, shoulder, and that sort of the wincing and pain opens up your back, and the fourth one stabs right in and seems to almost nicks your lung or something between the ribs. It's a pretty critical hit. We'll see how much damage it does. That is going to be... Where's the stirge block? It is a d6 plus 3 normally, so that's 9 plus 4. 13 points of damage. So 13 points of damage from the 13 points of damage from the one that hits with a crit, taking you from 41 back down to 28. You're still not looking bloodied, not looking wounded, but the stirge attaches to the target. While attached, the stirge cannot make any more proboscis attacks, and you will take 2d4 necrotic damage at the start of each of the stirge's turns. So if it comes all the way back round to enemy 2, and he's still alive, enemy 4 I should say, and he's still alive, you are taking extra necrotic damage as it saps blood from you. Alright, that is enemy 2's turn done. Have a think about what you guys want to do, because your turn is after enemy 3. I'm going to be putting it to a poll probably as to whether you stay and fight, whether you try to run. Alright, enemy 5, the 5th stirge, good catch. 5th stirge gets a 15 and misses. The 6th stirge, at this point they are size category tiny. Tiny means they need 2 of them to equal a small, which means there are 6 of them, there are 5 of them now. Which means there's 2.5 small characters, which means they don't have the surrounded condition on you yet. In my games, instead of flanking, I use surrounded. If you get 3 on 1, they have advantage. But you are size category medium, so they would need 4 smalls. Oh no, it's extra 1 per size category, so it's 4 smalls or 5 tinies. It is 5 tinies. So with this 6th one coming in, and you haven't killed the 2nd, it has now got 5 tiny creatures around you, which means that they do have, this last one does have an advantage on the attack. So with advantage on the attack, that is a 15 or a 15. I got rolled a 10 on so many of those attacks. 15 and 15 misses, so only one of them is attached to you. That is the 4th enemy is attached to you. Okay, it is now your turn, Noodle. What do you want to do? Make an attack against the one that's attached to us and try and crush it, rip it out of us. If we run, we're going to take a bunch of opportunity attacks, correct. If we run, we're on difficult terrain and they're not. Rip it out, attack it, crush it, disengage. These things are weak. Bonus action, attack the attached one, and then roar. Kill the attached one, flurry of blows, attack the other 2. Okay, most people saying take out the one that's attached. So it's stabbed you in the back from the back ribs. It's pretty deep with its proboscis, so you bring your elbow around and just like wham, as best you can, just smash it into the side of the body. This is going to be an unarmed strike. Do I want to be mean? What's your attack modifier? Yeah, I'm going to be mean. I'm going to say that because of its position on you and the fact that it was a crit on you, I'm going to give you disadvantage on the attack. You're trying to attack something that's attached to your back, and it's a little hard to hit. So disadvantage on this first attack. That is a 2 or a 5. So even if I hadn't given disadvantage, you might have missed. So 5 or 2 plus 7. Either one will unfortunately miss. You don't manage to get enough damage onto this thing. You don't manage to hit it properly. So run back into a tree. With your second attack, you just BAM! You slam your body up against a tree. This one I will not give you disadvantage on because that's a pretty clever thing to do. I'll give you guys the choice. You can slam your back against a tree and not have disadvantage on the attack, but you will take an extra point of damage as you drive its proboscis deeper into you. I'll say an extra d4 damage. Or you can attack it without slamming your back into a tree and taking the extra damage, but you'll have disadvantage on the attack again. So do you want to attack it without disadvantage and take an extra d4 damage? Or do you want to attack it with disadvantage and not take extra damage? Most people saying take the damage, slam it into a tree. Alright, cool. You slam it into a tree without disadvantage then, because it is way cooler. Nat 1. Apparently the Cartografur campaign just really wants you to die. We've got a 10 out of 10 roll, yeah. We've got a nat 1 on that attack, so you're going to take some damage from slamming yourself into a tree, and the mosquito is not, unless you want to use your hero point or the last of your lucky clovers for the day. Put a thumbs up if you want to reroll with lucky, or use a hero point. Have we got a backup character? Alright, we're going to use our last luck point for the day to re-roll that nat 1 on the attack against the mosquito that's in your back. Oops, that one wasn't in the tray. 18. 18 plus 7 is 25, definitely does hit. Alright, with a 25, you use your unarmed strike, wham! Slam against the tree. You're doing d8 plus 4 damage, minimum of 5 damage. You literally can't not kill it because they've got 5 health. So you slam against it, you do 5 points of damage to it, and you take an additional 2 points of damage to yourself as you drive its proboscis deeper into you. 26 is still not half of 47, so you're not quite bloodied yet. But you smear that thing before it manages to get much of your blood. That was 2 of your attacks as your attack action. You now have your bonus action and all of your movement. Your movement is currently 55 feet. But if you take the bonus action Flurry of Blows, it goes up to 65 feet for this turn. So what do we want to do? There are no stirges attached to you. There are now four stirges still left alive. 1 in group enemy 1, 1 in group enemy 2, and 2 in group enemy 3. Flurry of Blows, punch, punch. Flurry of Blows, punch, punch. Flurry and run. Flurry and run. Flurry and run. Okay, cool. Any preference on which ones we should attack? I don't see any difference between them, to be honest. There's 4 stirges on you. Attack the ones in group 3. Alright, let's go. Dice cam. First attack of Flurry of Blows. 4. Far out. 4 plus 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. 11 will not hit them. They are too tiny and nimble and agile. You are reaching out to try and hit one of them. You miss, unfortunately, with a 4. But you have taken the Flurry of Blows action, the bonus action, which means you do have 65 feet movement and the disengage, which is good. Alright, can we use the honey dice on the second one? Sure. For the superstitious among you, that dice goes in dice jail for a second while we use the other attack with the honey die. 15 plus 7, 22. 22 hits and a minimum of 5 damage will kill. There is now 1 stirge in each of the enemy groups. There is 1 in enemy group 1, 1 in 2, and 1 in 3. You've taken your action, you've taken a bonus action. It cost you a focus point to Flurry of Blows, so you're down to 4 focus points left. You now have the disengage as part of the flurry and the 65 feet movement, which over difficult terrain will be halved to about 32 feet. Okay, start moving away, get some distance now. So you start to fly away from them as best you can. You run away rather, and they start to fly after. So you push and sort of attack and swat at them as best you can. Throw them to the sides and start to run through the forest, run through the swamp, which is more like a trudge through the swamp. You are pulling your feet out of the mud as you run. It is slowing you down tremendously. You get about 30 to 35 feet away, and they have a fly speed of 40. So with a fly speed of 40, they start to catch up to you, and at the top of the round, 3 more of them appear and start to fly after you. The 3 more that appear will have to take the dash action on their turns to get to you, but I'm going to put them in each of the enemy groups. So with 3 more of them appearing, you realize, oh yeah, stirges hunt in groups because they are very squishy individually and there is strength in numbers. So you don't see ants working singularly. You don't see bees necessarily working on their own. Things that are easy to kill are about working in numbers. If they can take down or distract a creature long enough for one of them to get a lucky stab on it and drink its blood, then it might go down, and then all the others swoop in to try and get it. So yes, there are more of them coming. The ones that you are killing are sending out pheromones and things to be like, oh, we found something here. Okay, so they will catch up to you with just their movement. 3 of them will get to take an attack at you. The other 3 will have to take the dash to get to you. So we're going to get 3 attacks from the stirges. So I'll do order of operations, because the first one will get to you and not have the surrounded, so that will miss with an 8. The second one will get to you with a dash, still not have advantage. The third one will get to you and be able to attack. That's a 15, still not hit. The fourth one will get to you with a dash. The fifth one will get to you and now have advantage. This is the first one of group 3. So that is going to be a 16 or a 24. So this one will hit. You've got your reaction back, and then this sixth one will get to you and doesn't get to roll. So the fifth of 6 will get to you and attack and hit. You can use your reaction to try and reduce that damage. Redirect it, yeah. So it will do. It can't possibly do more than you can reduce, even if it rolls max like it just did. That is a maximum of 9 points of piercing damage without a crit. So 9 piercing, you use your reaction to redirect that. You grab it by the proboscis again. You have redirected it to 0. If you want to use a focus point, you can now use it to try and kill one of the others. It will use one of your 4 remaining focus points to kill one of the other ones. And then you've gone down from 6 to 5. Yes, kill, 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 kill. Faster mosquito, kill, kill, kill. All right. I think it's unanimous. So you are going to focus point this one to try and kill one of the others. It has to make a dex save. That's going to fail with a 9. So it fails. It takes minimum of damage to kill it. That is, number 6 is dead. Just as it flies in, it takes the dash to try and catch up. You stab it with the other one and it dies. Okay, that is all of the enemy's turns. It is now your turn. You have 5 living stirges within melee of you. None of them are attached to you. By giant mosquitoes, you found the one enemy type that every single person in chat wants to just kill them. Yeah, there's no one saying no, let them live. Fucking mosquitoes. Attack 2 of them, then take the dash as a bonus. Attack 2, flurry of blows 2, and then run away. Please, can we scare them away, please? We can try to scare them away. You can make an intimidation check. But have you ever tried to intimidate a mosquito? Doesn't matter how many of them you kill. They're a swarm of mosquitoes. They don't care about the other mosquitoes that are dying. Find the queen. Attack them. Most people say and attack them. So let's see how attacking them goes first. All right. So you do not have advantage for any reason, but you also don't have disadvantage. So the first attack is a 17 plus stuff. One of them dead. The next attack is cocked. Another nat 1. That is a nat 1. So you've killed one of them. There's 4 on you. You nat 1 with the second one. You try to strike out. You slam into a tree or something. Ah! What did we say about that dice? Yeah, sorry. It's honey dice. That's right. I thought it had learned its lesson. I was giving it another chance. I was trying to rehabilitate it. Back to dice jail. He hasn't learned his lesson. He was out on parole and he lost his chance. Okay, that dice is going over there, so I don't accidentally pick it up again. We're going to go to the honey dice for a little bit. Alright, so we have used the attack action and killed one of them. There are 4 left. Do we want to flurry of blows to try and kill 2 others with 2 more successful punches? Or do we want to just dash? Flurry, run, flurry, punch. Step of the wind, flurry. Focus, step of the wind. Flurry, flurry, dash. I like McFlurries. Flurries. If we get down to 2, we can block one and kill the other. Alright, seems like you are split in 2 in decision here, so I will just outline your options. If you flurry of blows, it will cost you 1 focus point and you get 2 attacks, and with your +7 to hit, you are more likely to hit them than you are to miss. You have a more than 50% chance of hitting them. So you are likely, unless I roll badly, really badly, you are likely to kill both of the ones that you hit, meaning you'll get down to just 2 enemies on you. You'll be able to disengage and run. They catch up to you. I roll a d4 to summon a d4 more of them, but now they are 2 turns away from you, and they'll have to dash both turns to try and catch up to you. So they won't be able to get to you this turn. The other option, people are saying, is the focused step of the wind. You expend 1 focus point, and you take disengage and dash, and your jump distance is doubled. So you can focus step of the wind, double your jump distance, disengage from them, and dash, which will increase your speed from 55 to 110, which will then reduce with difficult terrain down to about 55. Which means that the 4 that are on you will have to dash to catch up to you, and then you've spent a focus point. They won't get 1 more attack on you, but now you're in the same position next turn. Isn't jump distance based on strength? Yes, it is. It is your strength score, which is an 8. So you would be able to jump 8 feet with a running start. If you have a running start, which I'll say you don't because it's difficult terrain, then you can jump 4 feet, but doubled to 8. After Step of the Wind, we can run faster than them. Yeah, but they can dash to fly 80 feet on their turn. So it's still not a bad option because they fly with a dash to catch up to you, and you would make the attack action and flurry again, and Step of the Wind again. You still get an attack action, and they're having to dash. I prefer which one doesn't require rolling dice. Okay, most people saying flurry now, so we are going to focus point as a bonus action, flurry of blows. See if we can hit them. We're using the honey die this time, look. See, it's not the die, it's me. It's me, everybody. It's not the die. I just can't roll. You'll notice that when I was rolling there, I was rolling bad guys, I was rolling pretty good. I was rolling decent on initiative. I rolled a crit on one of them. I was rolling 10s for most of them, which is, average, but just happened to not hit you with your 17. But then when I turn into you and I roll for a player, it's a player curse. I roll well when I'm a dungeon master. I roll poorly when I'm a player, and when I'm a player, when I'm being your conduit, when I'm being your stand-in, I roll a 2 on the attack dice of the flurry. Rob should go to dice jail, yeah. Okay, so the first of the flurries is a 2 plus 7, 9. 9 is not enough to hit. There are still 4 of them alive on you. Last of the flurries, here we go. 16. 16 plus 7 is good. That is a 23. 23 hits and kills. There are now 3 of them alive on you. I'll keep them in the 3 enemy turns, like so. That is your action, your bonus action. You have disengage and 65 feet movement. Again, once more, you trudge away from them. And they fly to catch up to you. And then about, 60 and another, so about 90 feet back from you now, you see another 3 of them starting to emerge. 3 of them 90 feet back are going to, on their turn, dash, and they're going to end up about 10 feet from you, so they're not going to be in melee with you, thankfully. Back to the top of the round with enemy 1. One of them is going to be able to get to you and take an attack. With a 5 plus 5, 10 is going to miss. The second one is going to get to you with an 11 plus 5, 16. It's going to miss. And the third one with a 13 plus 5, 18. 18 is going to hit. You use your reaction, presumably, because it costs you nothing. You reduce its damage down to 0. Do you want to use another focus point to make it hit its friend? There are 3 of them on you now, and 3 of them about 10 feet back. Yes, redirect. Yes, redirect. All right, so you, once again, grab one, use it to stab the life out of the other one. It needs to make a dexterity saving throw. Not with a 6, it doesn't. It fails the dex save. The minimum damage you can do to it is enough to kill it. There are now 2 of them alive on you, and 3 of them about 10 feet back. And it is now your turn. If you use the attack action to punch these 2, and you manage to hit them, I'll tell you their AC is 13. You have a plus 7. You just need to roll a 6 or higher, which is a 75% chance. You should be hitting 75% of the time. That's 3 in every 4 attacks should hit. Punch them, see how we go. Should being the key word. We defy your reasonable maths. So glad we picked low combat. Yeah, it seems like it, right? I need to roll 6 or more. Yeah, I need to take into account the Robert rolls modifier. Okay, here we go. We're going to punch them twice more as the attack action. Here we go. The first one is, I swear, I thought that was going to be a 1 for a second. That is a 15 plus stuff. One of them goes down. The last one, here we go. Attack modifier, here we go. Nat 20. All right, with a nat 20. Unfortunately, it had to be on the last one. With a nat 20, you would do so much damage that I would have allowed for you to grab one of them and just beat both of them to grab its proboscis like it's a flail, and then just beat the other one to death with it, and then kill both of them. So unfortunately, that was the last one that was within melee of you. So you grab it and just beat the others around, and then you use it like nunchucks. You stab. Here's how it goes. You stab. You stab the proboscis of one of the stirges through the body of the other one, all the way through, and then you
poof, just hit the headbutt on the back end of it to just drive it through. So now there's a proboscis sticking out one side and a proboscis sticking out the other side of an otherwise floppy body. You grab both of the proboscises and you use them like nunchucks to just beat the other ones off. And you throw it like a monk dart at one of the other 10 feet away ones. Yeah, why not? For flavour, I'll allow you to make one more attack as a dart, essentially. You rip a proboscis off and throw it like a dart with a 4. 4 plus 7, unfortunately, it's not a very well-weighted dart, so it just disappears into the trees. However, you now have your bonus action free to take the dash action without having to disengage. So you can take the dash action for free as a bonus as a monk without using your focus points. You dash, which doubles your 55 to 110, halved to 55 because of your halved to 55 because of your difficult terrain through the swamp, and you get through the swamp as best you can. Unfortunately, they were 10 feet away. You've gone 55 feet. You're about 65, if I'm generous, maybe 70 feet away from them. They can dash as a bonus. They can dash as their action and get to you with 80 feet. So on their turn, they all dash. All 3 of them manage to get to you. Even if they go in less than 80 because they're like maneuvering around trees and things. 3 of them manage to get in melee but not take an attack. And a good 120 feet back, you see 4 more of them. Actually, at this point, it's the 4th round, so it should be with disadvantage too. 2 more of them appear because they're starting to reduce in numbers, it seems. You are extra distance through the forest, the swamp. You're dying from mozzies. Unfortunately, yeah, as it says in the stirges, a single one, not a problem. A swarm of them can kill you. Always, whenever I say anything like that, it always reminds me of the scene in the original Jumanji, where he's like, well, a little rain never hurt anybody. And Robin Williams responds, yeah, but a lot can kill you. As it's about to monsoon inside the house. Good movie. Take a map job through Drennsaal, I said. Easy low combat, they said. Step of the wind, disengage, dash with an action too. Yeah, if you do the first 2 bonus action step of the wind, disengage, you can then use your action to also dash, and you'll be able to go up to 165 movement, halved to 82-ish, and they won't be able to catch up to you. And then at that point, they'll give up and go for something easier. It would use your last focus point, or you can take the attack action and kill 2 of them. Because you're definitely going to hit with both. Focus point to run, do it. Focus point, run. Nice try, Rob. Alright, your last focus point. You dig down deep, you decide to take the bonus action before your action to focused step of the wind, which allows you to both disengage and dash as your bonus, increasing your movement speed to 110. Then you take the dash action, increasing it to 165. Because of difficult terrain swampiness, you're down to 62.5. 62.5 movement, even if you're traversing around trees and things, they're also flying around trees and things, so they can only dash 80. You can dash, you can get 82.5 away. So as they are flying after you on this particular round, they don't know that you're out of being able to do that again. On your next turn, you'll be able to dash as a bonus and as an action because you're no longer in melee with them. On the next round, they fly after you. They're about 5 feet shy. On the next round, they're about 7.5 feet shy, and eventually they realize you're faster even through swamp than they are. And they buzz off to try and find something else. They turn around and engage the 2 that were trying to catch up. They engaged the extra 1 that was catching up as a lag. And eventually, a little bit at a time, you manage to make it out of the stirge encounter. I'm going to roll to see if you encounter something else as you are running away. You do not, thankfully. You are getting through this forest. You're hearing... actually, one more thing. Okay, thankfully you rolled well. Well, on the luck check, essentially, I just rolled a 19. So you're lucky enough that as you were dashing away from these things, focusing entirely on them, you didn't run underneath any of the sapping vines. But as you are running and running and running, eventually you notice that they're not following you anymore, and you think, okay, that's fine. You reach around, you feel the wound that the crit one hit, and you're like, it's not too bad actually. It's a small hole. It'll heal itself. It doesn't require stitches or anything. Whew-wee. Yeah, it's a pretty dangerous swamp. you guys want to head back to the guild and say, look, this is a bigger job than just one person. Head back to the guild, try and heal, head back, yes. All right, yes, please, let's try and recruit those bullies. Okay, so at this point you decide, look, I've got a very preliminary bearings of this thing. I have a good idea of what happened to Jason. He probably just got killed by the various different dangers of this stuff. By the way, on my table, just for your information, on the table, which is a D12 table of encounters, most of them are dangerous encounters, and they are, generally speaking, arranged in difficulty order. Stirges are 7. They're only about halfway down the list. So there are a lot of things more dangerous than the stirge encounter that you could have encountered. So probably a good idea that eventually you're like, this is a dangerous place, and on my own I can handle myself, but it's gonna be difficult. So little by little you decide to slowly make your way out of the swamp, being very careful to focus entirely on your surroundings. Every few feet, making sure you do your predatory patience, just listening out for possible dangers. You eventually make it out of the swamp trees and into slightly drier ground. You take a moment to try and rid yourself of the caked on mud all the way up your legs and boots. What number was the Shambling Mound? 10. 10 on the list of 12. So there are 2 things more dangerous encounters than the Shambling Mound that you could have encountered while here. The swamp itself needs a level. 12, yeah. You take a moment to get all of the gunk off your shoes as best you can, and then you start heading south. It is mid-afternoon at this point, and you are heading south away from the swamp. I'll just have you roll a, let's see, kind of, it's a survival check, but not to see how well you're doing at remembering where you're going, because you are a map maker and you have a map of this particular area. Just to see how the journey is, whether it's pleasant from this point on or not. 8, so it's below average, but with your survival, survival is just +3, so 11. It's run-of-the-mill average. There's nothing particularly stands out as a good fortune or bad fortune on the way back to the town of Portsend from here. You manage to find your way back to the rickety wooden bridge, and checking it out to make sure it still feels stable. It doesn't seem like it's changed at all since since your arrival here. So slowly and carefully making your way across it, it holds under your weight, and you make it to the south side of the river. From there, it's an easy journey with decent paths, most of it sort of dirt paths, until eventually you get close enough to Portsend proper that you can start to see paved paths again. Making your way back into the town, you are, pretty filthy. You could do with a bath. They would have a bathhouse here in town if you want it. Otherwise, you can head back to the river and bathe in the river if you want. Why are you talking about that bridge so much? Why indeed. You head back to the guild hall, or are you going to a bathhouse first? River, Noodle is frugal and the river is free. Very good point. Very good point. Yes, as a personality trait for Noodle, we did say that you are quite a frugal person. You grew up very poor and living on the streets, so you save money wherever possible. So Noodle, on your way across the bridge, you decide like this is a good enough place to bathe. You head down beside the rickety wooden bridge to bathe in the river, and under the bridge you see the river moving perfectly normally, and you wash yourself in the river, and you clean yourself off. Easily enough done. You take a half an hour to short rest essentially in this. Did you see what I did there? I was the troll under the bridge because I was trolling you that there was going to be something under the bridge. So I was. Did you get it? So you clean yourself off. You have a short rest. Your focus points come back as you're cleaning yourself in the river. Fuck you, Rob. You get back out of the river all cleaned off, and you make your way back to Portsend, and you arrive at the guild hall. Once at the guild hall, you see that Janice is still on reception. She's surprised to see you back so soon. You sort of hand wave it away like, long story, I'll tell you later. And as you head into Randy's office to explain to him what was happening and the fact that you can't possibly continue this on your own, that's where we'll end the session for today, and we'll pick up with you explaining all of this to Randy in episode 5. Thank you for joining me.
If you're watching these and you're thinking, why the hell would chat decide to do that? Well, that's because you're watching them after the fact. If you want to actually be able to influence the chat's decision by being in chat yourself, head over to twitch.tv/RobertHartleyGM, and if you are notified when I go live, you might actually be in chat for the next Twitch Tales.